Okay, this morning we were going to run through our P6-Reporter tool. I'm Nicole Jardin, coming to you from Calgary, and I'm the founder and CEO of Emerald. And with me today, doing the heavy lifting, is Marilyn Backstrom. She's coming to you from Edmonton. And we also have James Andrade on the line. He is our key programmer working with Marilyn on the Reporter tool and also helping our clients with developing, on top of the Reporter tool, the reporting that they're doing in various software tools. So we'll give you some examples, some food for thought on what you can do with all that data that you've got in P6 and get it out to the team so they can run the project better. So let's start with some of the common struggles. So certainly, just like every other software tool, nothing's perfect in P6. But we do have fantastic data in there. But getting it out to the whole project team so everyone can make sure they know what they need to be doing when is not always that easy. A big, huge Gantt chart with 60, 70 pages is not always a good way to communicate the requirements. So I'm going to share a quick poll, and if you want to answer it, we can share the responses. If you don't, that's all right too. So how do you get your reporting data from P6? So quite a few of our clients pull a variety of things into Excel. Some put it into databases, and others maybe just grab Excel and put it into a reporting dashboard. And that's sort of that second example. So it does vary. There's no doubt about it, but it's just out of curiosity. So it seems like some of the people in this session are also using Excel. Now, the struggle with using Excel is sometimes the data that you're hoping to get out is a little harder to put together in a simple format. And the other challenge is making sure your data is accurate when you do that. So because it's very simple to make a mistake when you're pulling stuff out into Excel, you do need to be careful. And it can be time consuming, especially depending on how you're doing your reporting. If you have multiple projects and you're doing reporting separate on each, pulling that data out can be quite time consuming. To get it to the extended team, making sure that they can grab what they need in a very simple way and efficient way. Okay, so you want it to be at their readily available to them, easy to use, and not requiring a lot of heavy lifting and training by them. Now, the whole objective of that, of course, is so that we're making better business decisions. Do we need to rearrange work? Do we need to perhaps deal with some delays in certain areas of the project or areas of the plant that you're working on or the construction site? Maybe we have to rearrange things for various permitting or whatnot that you might need to deal with. So these are all things to be thinking about, and getting better reporting is really what we're trying to achieve. So how often do you do project reporting? Let's ask that question real quick. How often do you do reporting? Now, of course, the answer here is going to vary very much depending on the kind of work that you do. So if you're in turnaround kind of maintenance type, daily is going to be very important. If you're in capital projects, quite often we're at monthly, but we want to help the team drive that to weekly, okay? And if you're on a very, very long range project, we have one client, it's actually a 100-year project. So in that case, the reporting is going to vary. So we're trying to drive to more often than monthly, because in a month, quite a few things can happen. So getting better updating happening is truly important. That's why we have a lot of experience with integrations. We've got a lot of different updating tools that we've developed. So getting so that it's more real time. So self-serve, real-time reporting is what P6-Reporter is really about, is getting the data from P6 out to the different stakeholders, the different project participants in a simple, easy to work with way so they can see their priorities. So I'm going to run through how it works, and then Mary Lynn will jump in and show you some of the sort of outputs that we've made for different clients. Just again, these are food for thought because the sky's the limit on what you can do once you've got a strong system in place on getting the data out of P6. So some of you are grabbing Excel spreadsheets, putting it out for reporting. Now that is not real time. It was real time when you grabbed it, but once you put it out there, it starts to get stale, it gets old very quickly. Others of you might be grabbing data right from P6. Now there's danger in that because with P6, we're updating schedules, we're changing logic, we might be changing durations. So it's a live breathing schedule. So you've got to be careful with that. So what P6-Reporter is, it's two pieces of infrastructure that Armand's put together for the last 10 years. Actually, even longer, I guess. It's more like 15 years. The infrastructure is our data warehouse, our EP data warehouse that we've built many, many years ago. That is a snapshotting tool. So we take the live data, we snapshot it out into data warehouse, and you can give it some parameters on what you want to snapshot out. So then that is what we've put the reporter components on top of. Okay, so the reporter used to be our dashboarding tool, but years ago, Adobe Flex was what we built it on. That tool became, they weren't going to keep maintaining it because of different disputes with Apple and whatnot. So rather than making another reporting tool, we decided to focus on building out the query information. So getting that information out of warehouse in a simpler, easier to plug in to method so that you can push the data into your corporate reporting infrastructure, okay, whatever that is. So if it's Power BI, if it's Tableau, if it's business objects, if it's Oracle, BI publishing type tools with Oracle data visualization, that was the direction we went in, so that you can get the P6 data merged inside of your corporate standard. So it brings you an accurate way of grabbing the data, including the spread information, so that time-based information. It's very simple to do because it can even be automated. So if you do updates every Monday, for example, and you want the data snapshotted out on Tuesday to give folks time to get their updates in, we can automate that. We've got lots of clients that have it automated. Then the dashboards are up instantaneously after the snapshot and into your corporate system. Now, when we snapshot, we can grab baselines as well. So this gives you maybe weekly snapshots. So you can do an impact analysis. You can compare time over time data. These are all things that are not that achievable, if even achievable, using Excel pulls, okay? So this brings your capability of reporting up considerably, because now you're not only looking just at what's going on right now, you can do comparisons. So that's a big thing in what a data warehouse approach brings to the table. Now, not only are we snapshotting data, but we also do what's called denormalizing the data. So we're making it easier to work with. If you've ever tried to look at the P6 tables, there's hundreds of them that you would need to find a way to get all that data out and make it usable in your reporting system. So we've done a lot of that legwork, all the heavy lifting on denormalizing the data and getting the time-based spread data, so resources and expenses. We've validated, made sure it all matches what's in P6, because that data is not easy to get. And in fact, it's very hard to get and get it right, because what you see on the screen is not actually what's sitting in the database. Okay, so this is a key thing on our warehouse, and we grab all layers of data. So we grab project level, portfolio data, task level data, the spreads, as I mentioned, and we've got additional pieces. So if you want to understand whether the schedule has changed, we can look at calendars, we can look at logic. So the ability to do comparisons is a very key thing in our warehouse. And then, as I mentioned, the reporter piece is essentially taking all the functionality, the capabilities of the reporting that we had in our dashboarding tool, rebranding it into the reporter so that you can easily build from the warehouse into your own system. Okay, so we've done a lot of heavy lifting on getting views that take your base data from P6, marry it up to your custom data through your codes, your user-defined fields, and so on. And we've got some very robust, easy to build out queries, views that get that reporting coming together much easier. As a result, KPIs and whatnot will be readily available to work with in your reporting engine of choice. Okay, so let me do one last quick question, and then we'll jump into showing some of the outputs. So do you do self-serve dashboards for your team? So yes, well, we put in yes in Excel. I guess we could have had in a third-party tool, or no, we just use reports from P6. So always curious kind of where people are at on how they're doing their reporting. Okay, so it looks like based on just a bit of both, which is pretty common. And I think more and more what we're seeing is more and more companies are starting to look at how they can get that data into some sort of dashboarding. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Mary Lynn. She's going to do some walkthroughs. And this is really food for thought, because we're going to show you an example using Power BI, and it's an example with some drilling data is what we've got in our example here, but we've got other examples. We've got rail examples, we've got turnaround examples. So if you see something of interest, the best thing is to reach back out, because we can definitely help you go in whatever direction your team is hoping to go. Okay, Mary Lynn, I tried to switch it over to you. Are you?
I got a message saying you had reclaimed the session.
Oh, okay. I didn't do that, but I probably did it wrong. Let me try again. Transfer session. I'm trying to transfer it to
okay,
you. Okay, that's better.
Yeah,
okay.
I got it again.
Awesome. Okay.
It's all good.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, as Nicole mentioned, what we're going to go through and have a look at here is actually drilling files. But keep in mind that what we're tracking in these self-serve dashboards and a few more static dashboards we'll have a look at is applicable to nearly any kind of project, because we have, for example, on the screen, some milestone trending. Well, in the drilling files, of course, you're going to have a specific type of milestone, but any project has some sort of milestone on it. So whether you're dealing with drilling or whether you're dealing with, for example, a turnaround where you're going to have your major milestones that you're going to want to track. You may have specific area milestones you're tracking, things like that. So depending on what kind of project you're on, this dashboard is usable in any of those types of files. So when we're looking at the files, I've got a portfolio of files in that are being read into data warehouse. There is snapshots created, and what it is a portfolio of drilling projects. I have a specific project I need to check up on this morning because it has been having some issues, and I want to see, because we have done a new snapshot, some of the steps that have been taken to try and pull this project a little closer to where it should be. What I want to know is, are they having a positive effect? I just want to confirm that our steps are actually moving us in the right direction. Well, one of the things I want to check on, of course, is the milestones that I know are in that particular project. Now, the project I need to check up on is this facility 2B1. So I can go in and check, and we've got milestones available, and they all have different types on them. So one of the ones I need to check for this project is final tie-in complete. I can see the date that that particular one is sitting at, and that is the same as the last snapshot. So we haven't lost any time. Unfortunately, we haven't gained any either, but we haven't lost any additional time on this project. Now, another milestone that I would like to have a look at is ready for production. Now, in this particular case, what I need to do is just go down the list a little bit, and there is the project that I need to focus on. But I've got all the rest of this information at my fingertips. So you can easily check. I need to look at facility 2B. And if at that point you're looking at your portfolio and you think, okay, I need to look at something else, it's all ready for you there. So we've looked at the milestones. It was kind of what I expected it would be, because of the fact that the steps that we put in place in order to be able to pull this project back a little bit closer to where it should be haven't been in effect for all that long. So we'll keep this under close observation and see if it goes a little bit better as we go along. So we can definitely track milestone trending, and we've got, if for example we weren't sure what it said the last snapshot, because we took a new one, the other ones are still available for your reference. So on that note, let's go and have a look at the dates of my projects. So here is my portfolio of projects. I can see at a glance that I've got 17 early projects, 39 on time, and 11 late. Well, 11 late, we know, not a good thing. But I've got the late projects at the top of the list here and telling me how late those projects are. Well, the project that I need to focus on, because as I said, we've had several meetings on this project, I need to check quickly, what did this last month's snapshot show me? So this, as you might have noticed, this particular dashboard, when I opened it, is on November. Well, that was prior month. So I'm going to change to December, and let's just have a look to make sure there is no drastic changes. Or, of course, if there is positive drastic changes, have a look and see what it is. Well, facility 2B still sitting at negative 30 days. So it is 30 days late. Again, that didn't really surprise me. I've got a couple of others at the top here that are really late. Well, a few that are really late as well. But this particular one is the one I need to focus on because I have a meeting shortly. So there's going to be discussions. I need to understand what's going on with this particular project. So I know that it is late. I also have some summary information here. Project started this period and finished, and this is the period it's picking up for. I've got projects starting this month, projects finishing this month. Well, keep in mind a dashboard like this, for example, if you were looking at turnaround schedules, of course, you wouldn't be looking up projects starting this month. You would probably be monitoring a slightly different scenario there because of the rather large time frame on that, but you can set different information in your dashboards. Now, let's have a look at costs. Now, this is my December, my latest snapshot. I look at my portfolio, I can quickly see how many projects are over budget or under budget, and I have a list, for example, over budget, below that under budget. So the project that I need to focus on is facility 2B. If I hover, I can see how far over budget that particular one is. Now, if I click on that particular one, this dashboard does something else for you. It will find the project percent over budget. So I can see that, okay, currently this particular project is 11.7% over budget. Now, I might be thinking, okay, is that really a lot different than last month? Let's go look. So if I go in and look at this, I can quickly click over to last month, and in that case, I need to scroll down a bit. It was 11.73. So it's improved slightly, not terrific amounts, but there is a little indication of an improvement there. So just some of the information that you can check really quickly. And I can also go and look at some other, there we go. Sorry, my mouse was just having a little bit of attitude. So we can also check other projects if that's what we need to do. For example, one of the projects that was late on our list is this bottom one in the project's amount over budget. If I click on this particular one, same thing. Now, this one, percentage-wise, it's in worse shape than the facility 2B one. So you can go through and check whatever you need to check on your portfolio, and you get the information very quickly. And the dashboard is interactive, so whatever you filter on in the filters in the top line here, you have all these filters available. Plus, you can select in a particular portlet and it will highlight wherever it finds it in the other portlet, so you can very easily identify the information. So we know that this particular project is still late. It is still over budget, although it has shown a slight improvement in that particular respect. Now, if I want to look at what do my hours look like on a portfolio basis? So if I look at my portfolio hours, this again is my December one. Through all of these project portfolio dashboards, you have access to all your snapshots. So it's not a case of I saved a new one, so the old one goes away. It's there for your reference. So I can see I've got projects over budgeted hours. So facility 2B is over the budgeted hours. Good information to know for my meeting. And if I want to identify a little bit more information, simply clicking on this project shows me that you've got forecast percent of budget hours used. It shows you where it falls in this particular graph. And also, it identifies in the bottom right corner here, budgeted hour status by team and project. So we know that this particular one, we can see it in both of these right side portlets, that this project is being looked after by the central team. And well, this is no surprise. It is the over budget project the central team is looking after. So you've got some different information available there as well. And what you can do is you can go through that piece of information with any of the projects that you want to look into. So we're focusing on facility 2B because I was really hoping that the steps that we put in place to pull this one back a little closer to in line would have had a slightly better effect by this point, but it is showing a little bit of improvement. So if we want to go in and look at the project detail, we've got interactive dashboards for that as well. So if I go to the project level, so we've gone from the portfolio level, now we can drill down to the project level. Now, one of the projects that was sitting in our late scenario at the portfolio level is the one that this is showing right now. Now, this project is not our facility 2B. We'll look at that one in just a moment. But one thing I wanted to be able to show you as well in both this project and in facility 2B, you can get a lot of detailed information really quickly here. And don't forget, this doesn't have to be drilling projects. This is applicable to any type of project. So all of this good information is rolled up, available on my desktop at a few clicks of a mouse. Very helpful, especially when you are, of course, looking after a number of different things and you need to go to a meeting where this is all being discussed. You want to make sure that you've had a look at what the latest and greatest information is. You may not have time to go open files, figure out what layout, all that kind of information. This is being pulled on a standard format so you know exactly what you're looking at. You can make sure that what you're looking at is the latest information, digest it really quickly, and you're ready for your meeting. So this particular project, you can see I've got roll-up information, duration, total cost, labor hours. You can see the percent complete. You can see the different items broken out on the graphics. This one is 72 hours late. But what I wanted to look at here is if I go down to costs, for example, I know this one has some costing issues. And initially, when you look at the information, if you look at labor hours, of course, I'm just going to click back to, sorry, I should have mentioned that before I got out of here. The labor hours, they are not over budget. So if I click on labor hours, although we can show labor hours, this looks pretty good. However, we know this particular project is over budget, so we can quickly drill deeper and we can see right away, yes, there is a cost issue. This is exactly where it's coming from, material costs. So that type of information is at your fingertips. And this one, I've worked on some projects where when that type of a question came up, it was a bit of work to get to the full answer. Now, let's go back and look at the project I need to focus on. So facility 2B, I can just easily switch over to that particular project. Now, this project here, what I'm seeing here, total cost, duration, and labor hours. So we're at -30, and we saw that in the portfolio display. So let's go have a look at what the labor hours look like. Now we're at -120. In this particular dashboard, you don't have to click back and forth to change. I know that this is a better scenario, both from the portfolio dashboard. There was a slight improvement in the percentage over budget. But if you want to go back and see, okay, I know there was a slight percentage improvement in the over budget situation, but how much was it? Don't forget, you still have access to changing the report date and go back to the previous one. And now what I want to do is just set it to the right baseline in case you're wondering why it's not looking correct now. Here is -395. That's where our improvement came in. So this particular project, I know now exactly what the detail improvement was. It was negative 395 last month, and when I change it to the current one, and we'll just make sure that we're looking at the right information here, I'm at negative 120. So not that that is a show-stopping improvement or anything, but it is trending in the right direction. And of course, at my fingertips, I had the information. If I forgot what it was last month, I knew negative 120 was an improvement, but not exactly sure what it was. It's easy to change back and forth and just confirm what you're actually looking at. Now you've also got activities over labor budget, and under is listed in this particular dashboard as well. So if I go a step further and look at my facility 2B, it has a cost issue. It is over budget. It's the labor that's over budget in this particular case. So the previous file we looked at had a different scenario in what was causing the cost variance. This one we can see is strictly the labor issues. Now, we can get down into the weeds a little bit more, break it down on an activity basis. So in the activities dashboard, you can see I've got two tabs here. So I just click in the activities dashboard and it's showing me all the activities, and it indicates late and then the not late activities. So you have all of this information. It's rolled up for you. I can see I've got 19 late activities. Okay, that's not great, but we knew this project had some issues to begin with. On time, I've got 9. And I've got activities starting this month, activities finishing this month. Now, just food for thought. If you were looking at this dashboard for example, a turnaround, this is extremely valuable information, not on the month basis, obviously, but if you have it on a shift basis. Those kind of reports are issued all the time. So you would have that information to go through and have a look at exactly what the status is. Now, I also have a critical activities tab. I click on the critical activities and I can see I've got 6 critical activities as of my latest snapshot that are late. And I've got 22 activities that are not critical. So you've got a lot of very valuable information, so easy to get to, so easy to filter if you need to change the filters and digest it really quickly. Now, what I would like to look at now is we're looking at a portfolio scenario. So how are we addressing resources? So let's have a look at resource allocation. So when I look at resource allocation, and there is a large number of different scenarios that you can very quickly grasp information about here. Now, you can set your snapshot and you can pick your resource. So I've picked contractor just to start with because don't forget we're focusing on facility 2B. That's one of the resources that I know is required on that project. Now, in this particular case, I'm looking at not the most current snapshot, but the previous one. You can get this information off of any snapshot you have for that particular time frame. So the last snapshot that was taken, facility 2B, if I click on that particular project, in the grand scheme of where this portfolio requires this contractor resource, you can see exactly where that project falls. Now, in the bottom right corner, you can also see the activities in that project that have that particular resource assignment on them. Now, just in case you're wondering, you can select multiples. So if you need to dig into a scenario, it does give you that ability as well. Now, there is another resource that I would like to show you just quickly here. I do realize we're getting a little towards the end of our time, but let's have a look at our pipeline crew. Now, our pipeline crew, this one had an overload last snapshot. We knew that. We've put some steps in place to try and address a little bit of that, and we'll look at the new snapshot in just a second. But when you're looking at an overload like this, you can get a lot of very valuable information off of this dashboard. You don't have to go into P6 resource profiles. You don't have to log into P6. You don't have to really have any background in how P6 works. If you're looking at an overload like this, if I want to know, okay, any of these overloaded timeframes, which ones of these projects, because we know all these projects are using this pipeline crew resource, but which ones are involved in the overload? All I have to do is click on one of the overloads, and it's going to show me exactly what projects are involved. And if I look at the bottom right corner here, it's showing me what activities in those projects as well. And there is many, many occasions you can see where this would be very handy to have this kind of information at your fingertips. So if I click back to just filter back everything, another thing just to keep in mind here, when you're planning, now this isn't just for turnarounds, just for drilling, that kind of thing. Consider, for example, a manufacturing project, and you've got a resource that has this type of scenario. You might want to go through and have a look at thinking to yourself, well, I know the priorities on the projects in this particular group. So at what point am I starting to generate this overload? Can we take the highest priority ones and still deal with them? Or in order to deal with the A-level code projects, for example, do we still have to look at moving some projects or increasing resources? So one of the things that I have found really handy with this is, first of all, I want to know where facility 2B is. Well, I can see it sits out past right now at this point where that overload is. But if I wanted to have a look at different priorities, if I said, okay, facility 2B is one of them, but I also need that project, and I need to go down a ways because I've got some projects down here that are high priority as well. It's smaller projects, albeit, but high priority. Okay, if those are my priority projects, they all come in within the availability I currently have. So that's useful information to know, because then you know if these are the next level projects you are introducing, maybe they need to move, maybe you need to look at increasing your pipeline crew, any of that sort of scenario. So you've got a lot of very good information. Now, the other thing I want to confirm before I leave here is, did our steps have an effect on this profile? Because just reminding you, this is the prior snapshot. So let's go to the latest one and have a look. Definitely, we've had a change in the profile. So not that we don't have a few smaller overloads that we need to have a look at, but it is a much more positive profile than what we were seeing the end of November in this case. So all of these dashboards, as you can see, it's just a matter of, yes, you need to possibly change a filter or two to get the information you need. But just by highlighting different pieces of information, you've got all that rolled up information available to you at your fingertips. So you know that you've got a particular time frame. So my snapshot as of December, I know what I'm looking at. Now for projects that do rolling wave updates, this works absolutely awesome. You don't run into the situation where somebody looks at information in P6, not realizing that the information that's being discussed at the meeting is as of close of business the Friday before. Somebody's put an update in and the meeting is the following Wednesday. that sparks a lot of discussions that take up a lot of time, create a lot of frustration, and they really don't have to happen. So before we leave all of our dashboards, these have been the what we term self-serve. So you can change filters, you can pick the resources, things like that. Let's have a look at some dashboards that you can create a little more along the lines of being a bit more static, but still displaying some really, really valuable information. So if I go up to the management dashboard, this is the type of thing that is very handy to have displayed in a project room, in a boardroom, that kind of thing. So, as Nicole was saying in the introduction, you do your snapshot, and these type of dashboards can be automatically refreshed with the new information. So you've got these dashboards available. They can be on somebody's desktop, but they can also be routed to a big screen on a boardroom wall or something like that if it's advantageous to your particular company. So we've got the entire portfolio. We've got project days early, late, we've got amount over budget, over allocated hours, and you can look at the current status of your milestone trending. So we've got a very similar scenario, pipeline dashboard. Now, this is showing, of course, the overload. So this particular dashboard is running not from the December one, but you can have them so that, as I said, as soon as the new information is created in your snapshot, so it will refresh. And you can see the over allocation, you can see the pipeline crew activities and the applicable pipeline milestones. So just some food for thought. This is a roads dashboard because this is drilling files that we're looking at. But these types of dashboards can be created for any type of project. So you've got a bird's eye view of all the information that you've got set up for the particular dashboard. So in this case, roads, over allocated hours, project days early, you've got the activities and you've got the milestones. Now, also on the wells dashboard, same idea. So you can see different kind of configurations, but you can pull all this information to main dashboards for displays. So you come in the morning, this is your portfolio you're looking after, and you're thinking, okay, I want to look at the information that's in the pipeline dashboard or the management dashboard. Couple mouse clicks, you've got all that information at your fingertips again. So on that note, I will stop screen sharing and I will let Nicole grab the control back.
Okay, just give me a sec and I'll get the presentation back up. Okay, so hopefully with that quick overview Marilyn gave you, you got to see the potential that having snapshots brings and the potential benefit to having that kind of capability. And I think that's a very key thing here that the data warehouse reporter combo brings to the table. Some of the other dashboards we've got have CPI, SPI trending curves. Again, that's not easy to do in P6. You can only do kind of what we have at the moment. Not easy to see what it was looking like last week, last month, yesterday, that sort of thing. So the capability of having the historical snapshots really brings a lot to the table. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits that we've seen with our clients and some of the feedback. So in terms of the users, not having to worry so much about getting all the reports, doing all the updating, doing all the reports, making sure they're all right. It really takes that stress and that time off of their plate so they can focus on doing the P6 side. So streamlined reporting and being able to get at data that's not that easy to get at otherwise is a big thing. The spread data is not easy to get out properly. So all those dashboards, all those resource curves, dashboards she was looking at, they look simple, but getting them with, she didn't focus specifically on actuals versus remaining, but that data is not easy to get out if you're trying to do any trending. Okay, so the efficiency is a big, big win. So that in this example, management had a lot more visibility into the progress in a very simple and intuitive way. Okay, and one that she didn't show, but it's on our website, are some of those green up reports. They really work well. They show a lot of data in one simple chart. Okay, so that's a big one as well for turnarounds. Accessibility, okay, getting that data into other people's hands in an easy way. That's always a challenge that we face with Primavera because we're really limited, right? We're able to produce Gants, but Gants sometimes are a bit overwhelming and not easy necessarily to use. So this brings us a lot more functionality. And as she mentioned, you don't need to be a Primavera expert to see that. And then in terms of the visibility, so for the leads, the managers, right, being able to compare real time back to where we were and what's going with trends, that's a huge, huge win. Because it's one thing to say we're behind right now, but maybe it was just a blip. But if you see that on 3, 4, 5 subsequent updates that certain groups are struggling, you can see that much better now with this kind of capability. And that is where you should be definitely having your team focus, right? It's one thing now, just a bad month on a project, but if you're having month over month trouble, we got to be on that much quicker. So this brings that visibility. And as I mentioned, the accuracy. Okay, so I don't have to mess around with filters, pulling out different reports, making sure I've got all the right fields. That's all pre-done. And I don't need to worry about it in the heat of the moment when you're trying to get reports out. So the ability to do earned value forecasting by crew, because of the way we snapshot our data. And Oracle is making some improvements on that, which is good. They've made resource assignment codes in version 20. They've made role codes. They've made role limits now. So they are doing some improvements, which is good on being able to use the spread data more meaningfully. Okay, now our P6 calculator already lets us do that. So if you're looking for earned value down on the resources, we've already got that covered. Good. So I think I've walked through enough on here. So if there are any questions, you can definitely put them into the question room or the chat, and we can try and answer them. And you can go ahead and do that now. If not, I'll just do a quick wrap up and we'll stay on for another few minutes if there are questions. If there are any questions that come up after, also definitely reach out to us. Okay, so thanks for spending the last hour with us. I hope you saw some things that piqued some interest. Maybe we've touched on some of the things you've been struggling to try and do and report out to your team. And really what our focus at Emerald has been for the last 27 years has really been on using the data in a more meaningful way. We've had programmers on our team from the beginning, and that's why we've been able to do a lot of integrations, automations with our P6 calculator tool, We've integrated to many, many tools, SAP, JD Edwards, Maximo, Oracle Financials, and many others. So automations, getting data moving back and forth so that the team can do the real work rather than all the painful data entry has been a huge focus. So this data warehouse reporter combo is just one of the many offerings that we have. P6 Loader for pulling data in and out with Excel. P6 Scrubber, which we're getting fantastic traction on to help make sure when you bring data into P6, it doesn't mess up your system. We've got the updating tools in our toolkit, so our taps and caps tool that you should take a look at if you're struggling with getting that updating more regular. And of course, we've got the team member tool from Oracle as well. So we've got a lot of options. The point really here of all the efforts we've been making in the last many years to build tools is to make it easier to work with P6 and make your experience with P6 even better. So definitely come attend some of the other webinars to see if there's other things in our toolkit that can make things better and make what you're doing with P6 more functional. Our QA tool is another one. So if you need to automate quality metrics, that tool works really, really well, especially if you have a large group but you only have a handful of P6 schedulers. This helps them understand what they've got to be critiquing the contractors, the consultants, how to critique their P6 schedules much better. So hopefully you saw something of interest. If you did, definitely feel free to reach out. Depending on where you're located, we've got our Donna, who's in the Philippines, so in our Asia zone, and of course, Mary Lynn, who did the deep dive for you. You can reach out to Mary Lynn as well, and either by email or give us a call, and hopefully we can help make your work with P6 even more beneficial for your team. Okay, so I'll stay on the line. It doesn't look like there are any questions, but hopefully you saw some things of interest, and you can reach out and we can help you move it forward. So I'll stay on the line for another second, but if you've got no questions, thank you so much for attending and have a great day.